Hey there, I'm Noah.
Hey, I'm Tim.
And this is our ongoing comic strip AP style of Dogs in the Vineyard. Dogs in the Vineyard is about God's watchdogs, young men and women called to preserve the faithful in a hostile frontier territory. They travel from town to isolated town, carrying mail, news, and doctrine, healing the sick, supporting the weary, and pronouncing judgment upon the wicked.
This game uses a lot of dice, but in a really fun way, because these dice represent like traits and abilities, and when we have a conflict, like something is at stake, we treat the dice kind of like we're playing a game of poker, like we're seeing each other's raises and responding with one. Sometimes things don't go well, and you're taking the blow. You might lose what's at stake, and that's just kind of fun. Like,
yeah,
we're not going to be like announcing dice on the radio, because we're going to be describing the actual actions that represent the raising or the seeing. But that's a fun game element, and thematically, since this is a little bit of a West that never was, having poker style game dice rolling is really thematically cool.
Yeah, it really fits well. And so as far as this world goes, this is Mormons, not Mormons. It's kind of a fictional version of it. So picture Utah, pretty bleak, but also beautiful at the same time. Lots of big mountain ranges. But it's a harsh world, and we are God's soldiers enacting their justice.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind these dogs you're going to hear about. They're 18, 19, 20. They're kids who are set off with some pretty big missions and a lot of authority on their side. So I think one of the most interesting things about this game is you're dealing with a lot of absolutes in terms of what is right and wrong, but you have some pretty fallible characters who, when all else fails, they have guns.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
I think both our characters are not going to be reliable narrators. We want to show their side of the story, but their side of the story might not be the right story.
Right. And that brings up the point that we're going to be switching seats here from episode to episode.
Right.
So like a traditional game, there's a game master and then there's a player. So when Tim, is playing, I'll be playing Sister Clementine.
And when Noah, is playing, I will be playing Brother Terrence.
Yeah, and today we'll hear about Clementine, but I am looking forward to hearing about Brother Terrence Witt next time. Yeah,
so this is the first one where we're going to kind of figure out the format as we go. So hopefully you enjoy and stick with us.
Yeah, let's get going. Looking around, I see Hooper, a small community on the frontier, sitting on high plains looking towards towering mountains in the east. My brother Edwin, a watchdog, came last summer and cleansed sin from Hooper. But winter this year is especially harsh, and resentment rides the icy wind that blasts through town. Something about Hooper stinks of fear. Edwin declared the previous steward as sinful and shot him in the street. He put Brother Clester, my cousin, in charge. My name is Sister Clementine, and I'm a dog.
You ride through town. Nobody greets you, which is atypical.
They look afraid.
They look afraid. Blistering cold. It's not snowy out because it's too dry. But you head straight to the church. What's this church look like?
It's humble. I'm used to the cold, but I'm looking forward to getting indoors and looking at the boards of this church. I can see the spaces in between them, knowing that the icy breeze comes through.
You go in. Like you said, it's pretty cold. Nobody's in here, which is probably a bad sign for the faith. I think you come upon a room, a young boy of 20 or so, reading a book by the fire, and you recognize it as your cousin, Brother Clester. What do you say to him?
Brother Clester, I rode in on an icy wind, and I come in to a very empty church.
Oh, Sister Clementine, I did not expect you.
Is anyone else in the room?
I think his wife, Sister Edis, is there, and maybe she is doing some embroidery.
Yeah.
She's pretty young also. Looks like she was kicked by a horse, though, so she's got a big scar across her face. She nods at you and says, Sister Clementine, And I think she just exits the room real quick, and she kind of side-eyes you, kind of like a lot of the townspeople were also, but yeah, she seems maybe a little more vindictive for some reason.
Okay.
You get a weird feeling from her.
All right. Yeah, I don't take a seat quite yet, but I do show that I'm a bit more comfortable.
Brother Clester's kind of standing nervously by the fire now. I think he's got his hands in front of him with the Book of Faith. Well, yeah, take a seat. Sister Edis will bring tea. What can I help you with?
Let's both have a seat.
You know, it's hard to get people to the church when it's this cold out. You know,
the warmth of the King of Life should be enough, Brother Clester.
Yeah, that is true. You know, it's just the town's been, well, it's been hard since Edwin left. I'm not gonna lie.
What are you incapable of doing, dear cousin?
Well, I mean, come on, I'm not incapable. And I think at this moment, Edis walks back in.
Yeah. And the door slams just a little bit, yeah.
I think she kind of like makes a tisking noise, you know, like when he says that. And she's clearly contempt of him.
Brother Clester, are you a strong enough steward to stand on your own 2 feet and to command a crowd from the pulpit?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Then you should need no help from me. And I look around the room and I say, and I struggle to find where the real problem is here.
Edis speaks up. She's like, well, I know where the problem is. Clester over here, he can't take care of himself. He can't run anybody. You saw the church. And I think Clester just kind of bows his head in shame a little bit.
Yeah.
His wife's calling him out. It's pride, for sure. I don't think it's a sin necessarily, but how do you react to that?
I would turn my attention to her. Like, clearly, Clester doesn't have anything else for me.
Sure. Yeah, it seems she's more in charge.
Sister Edis, who or what do you then see as the problem in this community? As the two of you seem to have good heads on your shoulders. Hearts, well, the King of Life will speak to that.
Well, surely you probably know about the old steward, Brother Odell, for your brother shot him dead in the street. Well, Odell was Zachary's brother. Zachary, always strutting around town. The people want to follow him, but Clester's in charge if you just stand up and be a man. And she kind of looks at Clester, who doesn't really say anything.
I look to Clester too. Clester, have you spoken to Brother Zachary?
Yeah, well, we had words last week, and, well, it didn't go very well.
What happened?
Well, as for Edith's suggestion, I told Zachary that he needs to leave town, him and his, for he's separating the church. Your brother made me steward, and he is trying to become steward. So I told him to leave, and he's refused. Sister Clementine, I don't know what to do. He won't listen to me, and the people are behind him. And
this sounds like a situation in which the authority of the steward is not being respected.
Damn straight. Oh, excuse me, sister, says Edith.
The authority that comes from not only the flesh and bones of that mouthpiece, but the authority more divine, the King of Life himself. An authority that should be respected, and I look to the good sister, by all. And I size her up a little bit. I say, dear sister, do you submit your authority to your husband and to the steward, knowing that with the King of Life at his side, he will do the right thing?
Okay, so let's do stakes here.
There we go. So what's at stake is I want Sister Edis to admit her pride in the path toward greater sins that it could lead to.
Okay. And Edis wants to get out of this situation without losing face.
To her husband?
To you.
Sister Edis, what does the book say about what comes of pride?
I follow the book, and I know that pride leads to sin, but I follow the letters right here in this book, and they lead me down my path. Tell me, Sister Clementine, how long exactly have you been a dog?
Since you have not been graced with the divine authority for even a day, Suffice it to say, I've been a dog a lot longer than you, sister. And I'm getting rattled at this point.
Okay. Your quick temper's coming into play.
It's coming out.
Yeah, she called you out pretty hard there.
Mm-hmm. Sister, you speak of following the letter of this book, knowing every word about pride, but where in your heart do you reveal that you are not prideful? Because I've not yet seen it in your actions today.
Sister Clementine, I apologize for the way I've been acting, but I feel like you are looking at the wrong party here. Brother Zachary is the prideful man in this situation. I am merely trying to help my husband as a woman is supposed to do. This is not the house that you should be looking at. You should be looking at Brother Zachary and what his intentions and his prideful ways are doing to this community. My husband Clester is trying to lead this community in good faith.
I look to him. I forget that he was there this whole time.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you guys are just icy staring at each other. Clester just does not know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I have to give.
You have to get, yeah, you're at a point, dice-wise, where you have to give up, and she saves her face. You do not convince her of being prideful, or you gotta sock her in the nose.
So she put me in my place. I have nothing to say to that. I mean, she's pointing the compass of my authority here, of what I'm here to do. And I didn't come here to convince my cousin's wife that she is a prideful woman, which I believe her to be.
Right.
But it's not why I'm here. I think having lost some face, turn around.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's just like, we will stay true to the good book,
yeah.
Sister Clementine.
Shoot. When I get to those steps that led me in, I slam that door behind me. That's the door to the church, and
that door that's always supposed to be open.
Supposed to be open. My horse tether outside looks over to me, used to those outbursts. But I leave it there. I draw that austere golden cloak around my shoulders. The King of Life will keep me warm. I know where to find Zachary. I mean, this is a farming town. I take one look at people and I know what they're gonna say. These people have been led astray, and I think it's Zachary. I'm heading straight to the granary and hopefully not have to do what Edwin did last summer.
Hi, this is Jason from the Gauntlet Gaming Community. If you enjoyed this episode of Comic Strip AP, please consider supporting the Gauntlet on Patreon. Our page can be found at patreon.com/gauntlet.